Hey y'all, it's Dr. Know-It-All. So I am very well traveled at this point. We are in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and in front of a Petco. So there's a picture of a cat behind me. Anyway, we're at a 30-minute charging, and it's like 7:30 in the morning. So I was like, what better to do than to chat about a few things? So the first one is that Elon Musk said that 10.69, so it wasn't, maybe it was a joke when he did it at the shareholders meeting, but I think it was. It seemed like that was off the cuff. But now apparently 10.13, the full self-driving beta software release, is going to be retitled 10.69. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, so that would be, I expect that they will probably have different release notes from 10.13 because I expect that there will be some pretty hefty changes to 10.69. So, gosh, what a bunch of 12-year-olds we all are. Anyway, so we'll have to wait and see, but that's supposedly from what Elon was saying at the shareholders meeting. And apologies, I don't seem to be able to go to Austin without losing my voice, and I blame Clive Barr, like I said. So anyway, I apologize that I sound like death here. So I promise you I don't feel as bad as I sound. But anyway, the 10.69 probably will be approximately the full stack to rule them all minus the highway. It sounds like they're pretty well working in that, not guaranteeing about parking lots yet, and probably not reverse yet. So, not the full stack, but it sounds like it should be pretty much ready for prime time. And remember, they're looking at rolling out this software to non-beta testing type folks, which, the general public is not usually as lenient about mistakes. I guess that would be the way to put it. So it's got to be pretty good before they're going to be releasing it to the general public. So it should be pretty darn good at that point. So we'll have to wait and see. 8:20 today is, gosh, what is it, the 5th? I've lost track of time. Anyway, so it's still going to be a couple of weeks at that point, but it sounds like they're going to really try to roll out something significantly good at that point. So that's very exciting. We'll have to take a look when we do get the 10.69 release notes, what the differences are, because I did a release notes video for 10.13, and I'll leave a link to that at the end of this video, so you can check it out if you haven't yet. A lot of really, really good changes to it. So the second thing I wanted to quickly touch on, and I don't know if I had a chance to do this, but at the shareholder meeting was the first time I actually interacted with the Tesla Cybertruck in person. So, I've always seen it kind of in images and videos, just like everybody else. And admittedly, it was prototype number 1, which is much more angular than the prototypes like 2 and 3, or I don't know what they're internally calling them, but certainly there have been newer ones with the side view mirrors and with the windshield wiper and all of that kind of stuff. But the original prototype is much more angular. It's harsher than the others, and still in person, it looked so much better than in video. And I've been thinking about that the last few days. I think the reason why is because when you see it on camera, when you see it on, on a screen like your phone or your laptop or your TV or whatever, it's like you're watching Blade Runner or something. And I don't know if you remember Blade Runner, or a decade later, Total Recall with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and they always had these kind of low poly count, like futuristic cars. And when you would see them drive, they were clearly a shell on top of like a real car, and they kind of bounced around and they looked like garbage. They just looked like a cheap prop piece. And I think the problem is that the Cybertruck sort of had that same sort of feel to it, that it felt like a cheap prop piece when you would see it on video. But when you actually see it in person, it's so big and so substantial and actually rather attractive looking. It's really weird, the low polygon count kind of thing. And what I mean by that is, flat. So coming from 3D animation, I'm used to this. This is something you would usually mock up your model before you did like a high-res model. You do like a really low polygon count model, and it's like they just stopped at that point. But anyway, seeing it in person is a completely different experience than seeing it on camera. And like I said, I've been trying to figure it out, but I think a lot of it has to do with our expectations, that our expectations are such that when we see something like that, we're sort of culturally wired to think of it as like an 80s or 90s prop that is in a future movie, right? The funny thing is that Blade Runner, what was it? The original was like 2019, I think, if I'm remembering the years correctly. So approximately now. So it's kind of cool that the Cybertruck is coming out approximately when I hope the rest of Blade Runner doesn't come true, but it'd be very cool, you know, if in the next year or so we actually get to see these in the wild. So anyway, if you haven't had a chance to see the Cybertruck in person, and you do get a chance to see it in person, I highly recommend it, especially if you have one on you know, you've got a reservation for it. Sorry, there's a cleaning truck out here. And also, if you've been considering it, obviously at this point the wait list is huge, but you still might consider it, and I would say definitely take the opportunity to to catch it in person if you do, because I think the substantialness of it makes it look a lot better. There's something that it just doesn't look substantial on camera, but it's really substantial in person. It's very, very big and really kind of elegant looking in a weird way. So, you know, they took a big chance with the design, but as Stephen Mark Ryan said, engineering genius, you know, back in 2019 when they released it. And actually, I did a video on that did not go viral that said, is it like engineering genius or something like that? So anyway, it's really great after, gosh, almost 3 years to finally see it in person after seeing the release. And then the last thing I wanted to touch on in this video is a lot of people, my wife and I did the road trip video, and we talked about all of the cool things that you find out about your Tesla and how nice it is to drive your Tesla on a road trip. But we didn't talk about, and I'll put that at the end of this video too, by the way. I highly recommend it. It's a really good video. It touches on a lot of stuff. But what we didn't touch on, and I guess because I kind of figured it was a no-brainer, was we did not touch on the cost of it. So there's two reasons why I didn't do that. Number one, I was like, well, duh, obviously it's going to save you a lot of money. But number two is that we have a lot of referral miles. So essentially our road trip is paid for. I just checked the mileage, and we still have a long ways to go. We're in Baton Rouge and we're going all the way to Athens. So we have 4 more supercharger stops plus this one, which haven't even counted into this yet. But in the past month, it said that we have saved $600 on gas. So most of that, of course, will be this. Superchargers will cost money for most people, around 30 cents a kilowatt hour-ish. And we did it's about 1,150 kilowatts, so you can start to calculate that out. So you obviously wouldn't save as much, but you would probably still be saving around $250, somewhere on that order in terms of the amount of money you would save if you were driving an electric vehicle versus a gas vehicle. But don't forget that like destination chargers and stuff that we've used while we've been traveling when we were staying places, those are actually free. So even if you are paying for the superchargers, you're still getting that for free. So it is a big cost savings. Just to put this in perspective, the 3-night stay that we had in Austin at the La Quinta, I think was like, after all the taxes and fees, was somewhere on the order of $540 and change, something like that. So the savings that we've gotten driving this vehicle as opposed to driving a gas vehicle on this trip so far have more than paid for the cost of the lodging that we had in Austin. And I think South Padre was around the same amount. It was a little more expensive. It was like $650, but certainly by the time we get home, we'll have saved enough money to pay for that leg of the trip. Not in addition, but you know, you can think about it that way. So anyway, we kind of, in a sense, as opposed to driving a gas car, got, you know, free lodging essentially if we'd taken a gas car on this trip. And of course, all of the other advantages, including things like full self-driving beta. I mean, my gosh, we woke up at 5 o'clock this morning, went to bed, got up at 5 o'clock this morning, and it was just, sorry. I started filming, and as soon as I did, this guy came by, and he's just super loud. But anyway, at 5 o'clock in the morning when we got up, I was pretty darn loopy, and you know, drank some coffee, but the full self-driving was much, much more confident than I would have been driving at that time of the morning. So anyway, of course I was monitoring it, but I was very happy to have full self-driving. It's very convenient, very, very nice for driving. This guy's coming right over here, so I'm gonna give up on trying to out-scream the street cleaner. And everybody have a lovely day. And of course, I'll be back in the studio as soon as I can be. I have a surprise special guest coming up soon. So, you know, subscribe for that, hit the bell notification icon, all that good stuff. And I will talk to you all later. Bye-bye from Baton Rouge.